two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Scandinavian American humor?
Well, that'll be short.
What stories did you hear downtown?
Too many Ole and Lena jokes, which even then I thought, they're dumb and they're degrading, and I think the portrayal of Scandinavians in general is degraded if they can't do any better than that. Nothing subtle, often even crude. There has to be a better way.
Better than Ole and Lena?
You've got to be kidding!
My father was born in Denmark on the island of Fyn in 1896. He was in the Royal Guard at the King's Palace, Amalienborg. I have a picture of him with his rifle and his bearskin hat. Like so many, he emigrated. But of course, this was quite late. This was 1927. He didn't speak any English at all when he first came. He lived in a boarding house. And he was trying to learn some English, and one of the fellows in the boarding house was another Dane who had learned English. And so he was helping him out, and he said, let's try and get you so that you could go to a restaurant and order some food. And what would you like to try first? And he said, well, I'd like to try apple pie and coffee. So he teaches them to practice apple pie and coffee. Apple pie and coffee. So he gets that down, and he's ready to go to the restaurant, and he goes to the restaurant, and the waitress says, what do you have, Mac? He says, apple pie and coffee. And so he's quite proud of himself, and he goes back several days in a row for apple pie and coffee. And finally, he's a little tired of that, so he asked his friend, could you teach me how to say cheese sandwich? I want something different. So cheese sandwich, cheese sandwich, cheese sandwich. He gets that one to practice so that he feels confident. He goes back to the restaurant. He sits down. The waitress comes over with her pad. She says, what do you have, apple pie and coffee? He says, cheese sandwich. She said, plain or toasted? He said, apple pie and coffee.
They kind of grew up on the prairie. You know, didn't learn English till they went to school, and my grandmother never learned English. And my grandfather came when he was 16, so he had a real broken English. So they did a lot of wild things out on the prairie, and well, they used to love to listen to Nashville and WSM, and that was on battery operated. Well, when the power line came through, that kind of interfered with their radio reception. So they were mad about that, and so the boys went out with an axe and they started chopping the pole. They were going to take that sucker down.
You grew up with storytellers?
No. I mean, among storytellers, my own family almost represented a stereotype, Norwegians. Silent and quiet and soft-spoken. My father was superintendent of schools. He was not a very laughy man. And the times when he would smile suggest a form of humor when he would come and tell my mother about some little foible involving somebody in the community. And you saw that as amusing. But he never told stories. We had to go downtown to hear the stories.
I think it started over 10 years ago now, where some of us decided that it would be fun to try to get a group together who could speak Swedish and have breakfast and visit a little bit. And so the first couple of times I brought along a coffee can, you know, with a slit in the lid and a sign on it that said, anytime you don't speak Swedish, you have to put a nickel in the can. Well, I think that lasted for approximately 2 minutes. Because the reality is that a lot of the people who are very proud of their Swedish heritage really don't speak the language. They're third, fourth, some of them are fifth generation immigrants now, and the language part of their heritage has been lost. And oftentimes there's someone from Sweden who shows up.
What's the occasion here today? Is that always breakfast here?
It's always a Swedish breakfast, the last Thursday of the month. It's referred to as a Swedish breakfast.
Is that because of food or because of the people that come for breakfast?
It's because of the people who come to breakfast. And if you go up here to the little town of Day, Minnesota, which is not very far away, that's where they make lutefisk.
Can you eat lutefisk for breakfast?
No, what I tell people is you should have lutefisk at least once in your lifetime, but I wouldn't force you to have it the second time.
Those who don't like it have a problem, and we feel sorry for them.
But the stories were funny, you know, things that happen to people when they go to a dance, you know, or at a wedding. It's Christmas time when the old uncle gets loaded and throws money around for the kids. And I had an uncle like that.
Broke into some storage shed, and they found this radio equipment. Well, my uncle Irvin was pretty sharp at electronics, and he figured out how they could reverse it and broadcast with it. So every day at noon from the barn they would broadcast. The family would. They'd all play and announce, and the locals all knew it. In town they would all turn on the radio at noon and listen to the Bjornjelds. But then they heard that they could get in trouble with the federal for breaking, not having a license to broadcast, and so they shut it down.
My father and Oscar were classmates in high school and good friends growing up. They grew up about perhaps a mile away from each other, and they were duck hunting in a canoe, which is quite an unstable shooting platform. And the deal between the two of them was that they would take turns shooting. And when a duck would jump up, one would shoot, and then the next time the other one would shoot. Well, a duck jumped up, they both shot, and the canoe went over backwards, as the story goes, and they're standing in water here, and Oscar looked over at my father, whose name was George, and said, "Don't make waves, George, don't make waves."